Hey everybody, welcome back. I haven't had much time to get going on this 66 or get much done. You can see the engine's in, transmission, transfer case, overdrive, body's back on it. I want to try and get the plates welded in. I want to box in both of the front frame rails so I could get going on the steering box install. So I don't get much time. It's very early Sunday morning. Still dark out. Night crew of animals is still out there. Skunks, deer, possums. So, passed everybody on my way over here. And deer are killing my apple trees this year. But they'll be tasty in the fall. Okay, so I'm going to get set up, do a little grinding, and get my rails welded in there. And I'll try and show you the process as it happens, and we'll just try and make some forward progress on this guy. Okay guys, first part of the Ross conversion is to put your side plates in. And I've got them tacked in, and they will get fully welded top and bottom. And then we'll have something solid to weld our plate to. And you know, a lot of times I see guys, you know, in the picture when you get this kit and everything, this plate is square to the frame. This is parallel with the top of the frame rail. Don't feel like you have to put it that way. Put it on any angle you want to get it to go through from the front bumper area to your steering shaft. I always wind up with them on an angle. And we're going to come right through this cross member and then cruise right up to our steering shaft coming down. So just whatever you have to do with that plate, just do it. Don't be afraid to move it around. I see a lot of bad installations because guys try to make everything perfectly parallel and looking good, and it just isn't necessary. You could cut, weld, grind, make it look perfect. And whatever you need to do to get it from point A to point B is what you need to do. So I'll get these finished welded, and we'll hang that box in there again and see what it looks like. Okay guys, we're moving along. Got the box just loosely clamped up there right now. and I smoothed out the boxing in plates, and they're ready to be epoxy primed. And I think you can see the angle I have this bracket on. Now this is just how I do it. You guys could do it any way you like. I angle it to come through the cross member where I could leave the top and most of the bottom, and I just cut out a couple half circles there. That seems to be the best way for me. Your stub shaft will come through nicely, and then we'll get the steering shaft and see if I can get a floor plate in there and start getting that through, and I'll show you where you got to get from point A to point B. Sometimes it gets very close to the exhaust manifold. You've got your radiator hose in here, so it does get a little tricky, but we'll just take it one step at a time, and we'll get that in there. Right now I've got the dash fixed up and in primer, and that is going to be the area where the tube comes through for the steering wheel, and we'll figure out on the floor. I'll get the floor plates. They're in tough shape, but we need to put them in there to see where we're going to bring our column through the floor, because right after it gets through the floor is where we cut it, and we make a connection to the double D shaft. Okay guys, here's some components for what we're going to need. That's your telescoping double D shaft. Here was my original tube and worm column. You can see it's rusted out. These are very, very flimsy. I am changing that with some 1.5" diameter 083 wall, and plenty thick. It's stainless steel, and I won't have any trouble with it. I already have my grease fitting in there, my bronze bushing for the steering column. I have another bronze bushing made, and that's going to go down here. We're going to turn this down to 7/8. That's what the idea is, and that's going to support that. Now you could see the tube is not finish cut yet. We're just, playing around with stuff here. And the tube and worm, this needs to get cut off at some point, which we need to figure out. And it's a process. If you want it to come out nice, you got to take the steps to get everything planned properly. And I've got all my components here, and we'll start getting them kind of loosely fit up there so we could check the double D shaft, and if we're going to have any problems getting that in there. Okay guys, if you're doing this at home and you're changing from the Ross to the Saginaw, you got to have a lot of things figured out to get it just right. Again, the box on an angle is how I like to do it. There's the shaft coming through. Now, like I say, that's long. Now, if you want a factory feel, if your shaft is going to go through the floor, the bottom of it's going to be like the center line of the pedals. That's kind of critical. I see a lot of guys take this and they lay it way down like that. There's a huge amount of difference there, and it's a difference between the steering wheel feeling comfortable and it not feeling comfortable. I usually like to take from this bracket to the top of my tube, right like that, measured along that end there. I usually like about 15 inches. That's very comfortable when you're sitting in a Jeep, and if you lay it down, if you don't put it in the factory location and you lay it down like this, your knees are going to be scraping the wheel. It's very uncomfortable. I see a lot of guys make that mistake. Keep the factory orientation of your steering column and you'll be much better off. Now we're going to take this, I'm just going to kind of lay it but you can see we just sneak by the exhaust, and obviously we got to cut this, but you can see there's room in there to get that shaft in there. Now this slides in and out. This one accepts this little one, so you got to figure out what you need. There's the U-joint, but just cut that wherever you need it. Give yourself some slop. Put it like in the middle of the travel and cut it. This side here is round, and that will take this right here. That gets turned down to 7/8 like I said. And this side is the D shape, and that fits onto your spud shaft right there. Very critical to get a comfortable feeling Jeep. Don't forget to get that steering column in at the right angle. Don't change it too much from the factory setting, and it'll feel real good. You can kind of see. There's the angle right there. And for me, that works out comfortable. I'm 6 feet tall, and you know, the Jeep sometimes can be a little tight. So putting a wheel, because the wheel's so big, putting that down too far, it just makes for miserable driving. You go to step on the clutch, you go to step on the brake, and you're hitting the steering wheel. Be very conscious of that when you're putting that column in. It's critical. Okay guys, I got a lot of figuring to do, and I'm not going to bore you with that. I'll just show you the finished product and roughly the dimensions that I used. The final thing I'm going to do is weld that box in. I want that loose. In case I need to make any minute changes, I want that loose, and that'll be the very final thing. I'll get the column in. I've got to do some work on the floor plates. Sadly, they're in rough shape, and I've got to fix all that. And the other side, if we go around there, that is quite a disaster right there. So it happens to all these things. They all go to hell. They should come with the bodies. SGI, if you're watching, we need those floor plates real bad with the CJ5s. But I'm going to get everything fixed as time allows. This project doesn't have too many hours given to it. There's so much work in the shop right now that I can't spend too much time on here, and the day is getting away from me, and I've still got to go get some animal feed. So this day kind of went to hell already, but we did get the plates welded in, and the box is temporarily clamped on there, and won't be long before it's hooked up and we're turning the wheels here. So I'm going to end this one here. I got to get moving, and thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.